Isaiah Mitchell, he, him pronouns, and currently, well, person with lived experience, currently development committee co-champion, and been working with that, and coming from Portland, glad to be here.
Yeah.
Would Carol Dickey like to?
Sure, thanks, Isaiah. Hi, everybody. Carol Dickey. I'm an advocate for the family voice, and I will pass it to DeAndre.
Hey everybody, I'm DeAndre Kenyon-Dewey. I'm here, I guess, in a member capacity and also as a community member and a employee of Multnomah County, and I'm a person with lived experience as well. And I will pass it to Walter.
Thank you, DeAndre. Walter Bailey, person with lived and living experience, ORR, Office of Recovery and Resilience, Equity and Inclusion Liaison for Peer Delivered Service Workforce, and grateful to be here. And I will pass it to, how about Molly? Hi, Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly Griggs. I am the current vice chair of the council. I am also a person with lived and living experience. I'm a peer, and I also am the senior director of peer delivered services at Cascadia Health here in town. And let's call on Sharmalee.
Hey everyone, Sharmalee Nataraja, Forensic Peer Services Coordinator in the Office of Recovery and Resilience, and I will pass it to Rhea.
Hey, everybody. I am Rhea, and I'm a peer wellness specialist and also now in the role of peer training specialist at Cascadia Health in Portland, Oregon, living experience of a variety of mental health challenges and addictions. I'm the subcommittee facilitator, the Trauma Informed Systems Subcommittee, and happy to be with you all and see you all here. Thanks. Oh yeah, and I pass it to Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, I'm Debbie Barreras. I'm a person with lived and living experience and a family peer support and peer support coach and coordinator for Lynn County area and director of One to Another, a small and beginning peer support organization. And I will pass it to Sean Cook.
Thank you, Debbie. My name is Sean Cook. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I am one of the program analysts for the Traditional Health Worker Program, just here to observe today. Thank you all. I will pass it on to JP, or JD, excuse me.
I'll go ahead and click. Hey everybody, it's JD. I have a co-pilot helping me with pushing buttons while I'm driving for the first half hour, but I am a person with lived and living experience and a member of the council. I'm very happy to be here, and I have Caleb Ray as member of the community with me. And I don't know who else is gone.
Thank you, JD. Yeah, I'm gonna help you. Marquita.
Hey everyone, Marquita, Peer Wellness Specialist. I'm excited to be here, co-chair of Peer Support Committee, and I'm doing amazing. I'm going to pass it to, I don't know who went. I came on kind of late.
Bo?
Can you pass it for me, Israel, please?
Yeah. I just called Bo. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey everybody, my name is Bo Rappaport. I'm a person with lived and living experience and currently serving as the interim director in the Office of Recovery and Resilience, and also wearing my, it's just one of those days at work where I just need a little bit more comfort. So I'm wearing my gray Pendleton hoodie, just so you all know. Appreciate it. I'm really glad to see we're here. Really appreciate seeing everybody in this meeting.
I'll go.
Yes, Nicobe, sorry, I didn't call.
All good. Nicobe Petronelli, she, they pronouns. I am the Community Engagement Analyst in the Office of Recovery and Resilience, Youth and Young Adult Peer Delivered Services Subject Matter Expert. And I'm a person with lived experience, living experience, forever advocate for culturally specific services for Black youth and young adults as we navigate through all of the different kind of changes that adolescence to young adulthood brings, and a Black youth suicide prevention advocate as well. And I'm really glad to be here today. Glad for folks who have joined in as members of the public, and glad that it's going to be 66 degrees and sunny on Friday.
Can you pick someone?
Yeah, Carol, have you gone? James, have you gone?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Demery. I'm the operations manager for the Recovery Resource Center with Going Home 2. Glad to be here, and thank you.
Not really. Yeah, kind of.
Israel, I'll turn it over to you. I don't know who needs to go next.
Okay, thank you.
Up the road, downtown.
Roger, mute yourself.
Yeah.
I can go next. I'm Alfonso Ramirez. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health Equity and Community Partnership. I'm really happy to be here. And I will pass it to the other James. I think James Dixon, have you gone?
I have not gone. Let me turn my camera on, you guys. I'm having a hard day with technology. Can you see me? I can't see myself. Okay, cool. My name's James R. Dixon. I'm the Black Youth Suicide Prevention Coordinator for the Multnomah County Health Department. I'm also a psychedelic peer support facilitator for the Portland VA, and we treat veterans with similar experiences, military sexual trauma, drug addiction, and we treat them with psilocybin and MDMA and a clinical trial. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Has Shaquila gone?
No, not yet.
Hello, everyone. Turn my camera on. This is Shaquila Scott. I am here from OHA with the Black COVID Strategy 19 work group. Glad to be in this space today.
Thank you. Yeah. Drake, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Drake Eubank, the president chair of the council. I live in Eugene and am currently recertifying as a QMHA1, a peer wellness specialist, as well as recertifying as a personal care attendant, which is a mental health personal support worker. Other than that, nothing's happening. Thank you. Next person I'd like to pick, if Danielle hasn't gone, please go.
Hello, I'm Danielle Grandin Villanueva, she, her pronouns. I work with Trauma Informed Oregon as the organizational change strategist. I'm also a person with lived and living experience. Happy to see some new faces and old. I'm observing as a member of the public today and used to be on this council. Thank you.
Thank you. Barb Rainish.
Hi, everyone. My name is Barb Rainish. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a community member, volunteer peer support, and freelance advocate in Multnomah County. And I can't keep track. I've been here the whole time and I don't know who hasn't been called. Carol, have you?
Yeah, Carol already. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm giving up. That was my one shot.
Okay, no worries. Steve Sandin. Steve, are you there? We can't hear you if you are talking. Okay, let's go to Tara.
I'm Tara Richardson. I work for Clackamas County. I'm an intensive care coordinator, but I'm also a peer with lived experience. And I was invited by Walter Bailey. I've worked with him for years, and I want to just observe. I've been to this meeting a couple different times, so thanks for the invite.
Thank you for being here. Kiana? Steve, is that you?
Yeah,
Yep.
I can try again.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
couldn't find the mute on my phone there. So.
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm Steve Sandin, the Executive Director of Bay Area First Step. And I've been on the council for quite some time, 5-6 years, something like that.
Thank you. Kiana?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Kiana. I'm from the base at Franklin. Walter invited me to this meeting and I just wanted to kind of listen in. We are a nonprofit that serves the neurodivergent population, adult population over in Bend.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Victor? Victor, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm a person with lived experience, and I'm working real hard to promote and similar.
Okay, thank you. We can't hear you. You're breaking out, Victor.
Off.
Victor, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, thank you anyway. Yeah,
Can't hear
yeah, thank you. Mark?
Yes, Mark Jackson, glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Who else? I lost my track.
We have
Please,
Kete
anyone, yeah, is anyone
Anderson.
here? Yeah. Please just jump and introduce yourself or put your introduction in the
I'll go
chat.
ahead. I put it in the chat, but I'll go Kete Kapuya, pronouns she, her, and I'm here on behalf of Connected for Life.
Thank you.
I'm Anderson Boyce here from REAP, Strategic Initiatives Manager as well. Just coming in from the community, invited by some OHA staff. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, thank you. I think Luke joined us. Luke, welcome.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Israel. I just joined.
Yeah.
It took me a while to find meeting ID. Apologies.
Yeah,
I
introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I live in Salem, and I've been involved with the council as a member in various capacities for like 10 years. So, yeah, I really am very dedicated to this work. I'm peer support specialist, peer wellness specialist, and advocate, and yeah, happy to be here with you folks.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, glad you're here.
Okay, we have anyone else?
Yep, we have a
JP.
couple.
Yeah, and JP just joined us.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have TC Dumas as well that we can have. I think that might be Keisha.
Okay. JB, are you here?
I am here.
Okay, welcome. Introduce yourself, please.
Oh, okay. I gotta introduce myself. So, first of all, I apologize for being tardy. I was in a meeting with the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. But I'm JP Parsons. I work with the Office of Recovery and Resilience, and I focus on I'm an engagement analyst focused on rural communities. Live in snow-covered Lapine, Oregon. And I'm currently sitting in Bo's cubicle in Salem.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Is there anyone we missed? Please introduce yourself if you like. Okay. So in this case, Drake, back to you, and I'm going to share the agenda now.
I only have 8 persons in terms of a quorum. I hope I'm wrong and have counted wrong.
We have 9 for now.
Okay, we need 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
So until we get additional members to show up, we do not have a quorum and cannot vote. So anything on the agenda that's voting will not be on the agenda.
Yeah. So as you see,
we can discuss things, but we cannot take any action. So
We can't even approve minutes.
we cannot even approve minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
So,
Laura Rose just jumped on, I'm seeing too. I don't know if that helps.
really? Yeah. Now we are 10. Laura Rose, can you please introduce yourself? Good time. Laura Rose, are you there?
No, she's gone. She showed up at the participants list, but my guess is she'll be back.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. We will keep tracking the attendance. Thank you, Barb.
I'll be on the lookout for her.
Yeah, please, Walter. Thank you. Okay, everyone can see the agenda for today. Okay. And I'm going to add all the guests later. So this is our agenda. We can't review the minutes. So any public comments?
By the way, this is the most people we've ever had at any meeting before.
Yeah.
It does seem like it. There's a lot of folks here.
Yeah, and I love it, really. This is the first time we have this number. Yeah.
I got a little new piece for my efforts to.
I keep trying to count because I feel like we might have enough if Laura Rose comes. And I know that we only have Marquita
I'm back
until
here. My connection disconnected. Sorry.
Hi, Laura Rose.
Hey.
Hi, Rose. Yeah, welcome.
So Rhea, Laura Rose,
Public
Carol,
announcement.
DeAndre, Molly.
Yes, we have 11 now.
Isaiah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And we're at public comment. I think is Bill or William, are you? He was speaking. Sorry about that. We were trying to get the navigation. Will, you're up. Victor, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about that, Vic.
Thank you. I was trying to make video work, but it's not gonna cooperate. Oh, now it's doing this. Hold on a second. There, that fixed it. I wanted to add another little piece. I've been talking about nonviolent communication and other communication curriculums that we can promote in our society to try to address, because this is like a cornerstone of what our community is built on. And the level of hostility, I think, is a significant contributor to things like school shootings and drug addiction and domestic violence, and the list goes on. I've been working on getting Train the Trainer program started, because we don't have a lot of facilitators in the Salem area for these communication workshops. We need to hire somebody from Portland or Eugene to come up and train the trainers so that we can start building an effective community of volunteers and staff that can lead these workshops and practice groups. And I went to a meeting the other night here in Salem about addressing gun violence, and the chief of police was there, and they hired somebody who has a lot of experience with this type of issue from Oakland, California. And because they were addressing the same public gun violence issues as what we are. And I got a number for a lady named Irma from the city of Salem. So I haven't contacted her yet, but I think that might be a significant source of income. I'm still trying to find a 501c3 group that's willing to be my umbrella, accept money from the city or whatever and distribute it appropriately and keep track of it. And that's about all I've got for today. I think that's enough anyway. Thank you for giving me the moment to speak.
Thanks, Victor. Always glad to hear about the work that you're doing and the passion for nonviolent communication.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can use the help if anybody is interested in helping me with this. That'd be great. This is really challenging to do on my own.
Craig, do you think we can review the minutes from previous meeting?
Yeah, I'm not sure that Laura Rose is a voting member. I know that kind of throw the fly in the ointment, but I just like.
Walida says she's going to be joining in just a second.
And also, based on the work that we did in the annual retreat, it was temporarily suspended until we could figure out what we wanted to do in that situation. So from my memory, Laura Rose and Luke are still voting members because we temporarily suspended the limits while we were figuring out some of the proposals that people had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think Sharon, because she's already ended her terms. So we will not do anything with anyone till we finished all the things the council doing now. So all of them, they can vote for now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My understanding in terms of conversation with Ebony, which is the intervening conversation we had after it was brought to our attention that they could not be members. That I believe was left in the minutes from that meeting would be able to tell us whether they're voting or not. There was an agreement to not do anything else and not drop anything until we had a final determination of the rules. I don't know if anybody remembers that discussion, but until the rules were done, everything would be left essentially as is. So I don't think that included voting, but that, if that's my bad memory, that's what it is. All right.
Okay, everyone can see the minutes from January. Okay, thank you. So this is the attendance for January. Let me see. Laura Rose, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. I thought you are on phone. Luke, you are attend this meeting on January because you are on phone. You can see the attendance. And JD, you missed that one for your information. Okay.
I think people aren't hearing anything because nobody's talking.
I can hear now.
There were a couple other comments in the chat. We're just kind of reading. Nobody was voicing the minutes.
Right.
We're all just reading and like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So sorry if that was like upsetting for anybody thinking, oh no, I can't hear anything. Yeah, we're just going over the minutes so that we can vote to approve them. And I think we're at the end here, right? So I would like to move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Rhea. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Molly, thank you. Any further discussion? Abstention?
Would somebody please email me a copy of these minutes?
Yes.
I have to abstain.
I abstained as well. I wasn't there.
So that's JD and Marquita abstaining. Victor, are you on the email list? Because it should have come out with the invitation to this meeting.
Yeah.
Hopefully the meeting minutes were on there. So if you are on the email invitation list, then you might have them. But if not, like, yeah, let us
He is in the email list. But if you lose it, I can send it again for you, Victor. No worries.
Let me take a look.
Yeah. Okay.
I show only 3 of the council members. Or if you're an OCAC member, and would you please vote?
Yeah.
Or abstain?
This is Laura Rose. I vote to approve.
Thank
you, Laura Rose.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't there.
Also abstaining, this is Julia.
Luke, I heard you.
I was in favor. I'm still in favor.
Thank you. Steve, who else hasn't?
You need a second or you need an approval?
We need either your vote. Yeah.
Yeah, I vote approval.
Okay. Thank you. Did we get everybody? Isra?
Actually, I was looking for the attendance because we have a 3 abstention from the total, and we are 12 now. So
enough to vote.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just their vote is abstaining.
Is abstain, right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we had 3 abstentions, and did everyone else vote?
I still see Isaiah, Jack Mark, and I think I heard Luke, Laura Rose approve it.
Yes.
Steve also, and you and Rhea.
You need 7, a quorum or a majority of the quorum.
And Drake said yes as well.
Uh-huh.
So are we there?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Carol, did you vote yes? I just want
abstained because I wasn't there.
Okay. Thank you.
And there DeAndre voted in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Approved. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Minutes pass. Thank you. Again, everyone can see the agenda from today. Thank you. First, ORR updates. Oh, you are here?
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
Can I make one? Can I interrupt for just one tiny second, Bo? Because I want to hear the ORR, and I also know we lose Marquita at 2. Do we need to do any rearranging of stuff so that we have enough people to vote on stuff? I'm not keeping track of the numbers. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we need to do that. Marquita maybe will leave us at 2, correct, Marquita? Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. So Drake, do you want to lead us through this? Because we have one more things to vote on, or 2 maybe.
The vice chair, if there are any nominations.
Yes.
And the motion to change the executive meeting time, because right now it's after rather than before the main meeting, which is what it was designed to serve originally. We were supposed to meet with director prior to our full meeting, and somehow it's gotten in front of it got switched out with another meeting and got put in front of the full meetings we have now.
So are there,
Wednesday.
so one motion would be to change the time of the executive committee meeting to be prior to the full council meeting, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so can I make a motion to move our executive committee meeting to a time prior to the full council meeting each month?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Shall we vote?
I vote yes.
Or are there any, is there a discussion?
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
my only discussion would be when's earlier. So I would propose maybe more specifically the first Thursday, because I think it got moved to like the second Thursday, or I don't know
Yes.
what rearranged. So it's been on Thursdays. I don't know if we want to keep it there, but just move it so we're on the third Wednesday for full council and strategy and planning. So do we want to do the second Thursday or the first Thursday? That would be my only point of maybe clarifying it.
Yes.
It
Thank
would
you,
have
Ray.
to be before the second Wednesday, preferably enough before that anything that needed to be done in the intervening time, there was enough time for it.
So do you suggest to keep it Thursday, but it's gonna be the first Thursday of each month?
We can do that, or we can leave it up to the members of the executive team, which are all of the subcommittee chairs and the chair and the vice chairs.
Okay, that's cool too. I didn't know if we wanted to get it more specific, but okay. I vote yes.
Thank you, Ray.
This is JD. I vote yes.
Thank you, JD.
This is Julia.
Marquita votes yes.
Thank you.
Julia
Steve
votes
votes yes.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Julia. Yeah, I think this is everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna send the update calendar invite, and then I'll send email also for everyone didn't attend this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Isra.
Yeah.
And
Drake.
then Drake, the second one is
If we have candidates, the other vice chair needs to be filled.
so we had two vice chairs, myself and Steve. Steve has withdrawn as vice chair. Now we have an opening for a vice chair. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, we're hoping for somebody with a lot of vices too. They have to
What
make
are
up for
the
things I
duties
do
of a
wrong.
vice chair?
What are the duties of the vice chair? My understanding is we are here to facilitate when the chair cannot and to pick up the things that the chair needs us to pick up. And
We
have a document
as a team with the chair.
There's an orientation document that highlights some of the vice chair duties as well that we could share with you, JD.
Yeah, I would like to know as well. This is Marquita.
Those are in our bylaws work, by the way.
Is there a certain time that a member has to be on the council?
They're usually expected to attend the executive meetings with the staff of the division.
Not that I'm aware of, Marquita. I think Marquita was asking about, do they have to have been on the council a certain amount of time? And I'm not aware that that's a requirement. Willita, you had your hand up. Did that get answered?
yeah, that got answered. Yes.
Okay.
Do we have any nominees? Or anybody who would like to self-nominate?
Is
I
there
would
any?
like
Oh, sorry.
This is Marquita. I would like to.
You would like to self-nominate?
I'll second.
Yes,
Marquita, are you self-nominating?
I am self-nominating.
I was like, I'm gonna maybe mention Marquita. But I was also wondering if we could get that document sent out to us with the vice chair
Duties.
duties would be helpful, but yes.
It's in a work in progress called our bylaws. I can send out the current draft if you want.
That would be great. Thank you.
It does not appear in the state rules as far as I remember, but I could be wrong.
If we don't have any other nominations, can we just move to vote or approve or?
Can appoint Marquita by acclamation, which is always simpler because it's a complete consensus majority.
I absolutely am for Marquita.
Okay. Is there a second to Marquita's nomination?
There was already, yeah,
Mhm.
Julia, I
All
think
right.
is the one who seconded.
Correct. Thank you.
Is
So
there
what is-
anybody else that wants to nominate anyone? Hearing no other nominations, would somebody like to move to appoint Marquita to that position by acclamation, unanimous consent?
I move that we appoint Marquita by acclamation, which sounds really super cool. Does it come with a crown or anything? I'm just curious.
So excited.
But yeah, I move that.
I'll second that.
All in favor, or is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, how many vote in favor, please?
JD votes in favor.
Yes, from Steve.
Can also vote with your reactions. I have a green check mark. Can you see those and count them up, Israel, please?
And now we do a celebratory dance, right? Congratulations.
I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yay, Marquita, thank you. Thank you for stepping up into a leadership position.
No problem. I'm excited. The
I'm
Lord is good.
excited.
Okay, next are the committee reports.
No, I think we go back to ORR
Yeah.
updates now.
I'm gonna be the fly in the ointment again and say we lose Marquita in 14 minutes. Do we need to have ARPA discussions? I'm just curious about the things that we have to vote on being prioritized if we lose people.
If you have a vote on these, then yeah, you need to bring it up.
Are we ready to vote on ARPA or do we need to discuss what I think
Yeah,
we
I
have-
don't know. I was just bringing it up, so.
Can you answer that question though? Do we need to look at the stuff and prioritize, or is it good enough to be decided by what's been sent in? Do we have enough stuff?
Well,
to be
the
separate?
things, yeah, I mean, it seems like the ORR up, I'm just looking at the chat, Nakobe, the ORR updates are going to happen. We've pushed it a little bit because we might lose some voting members and we're trying to get done with votes before we lose our quorum. So The ARPA funds, we have proposals for. There's nothing like budgetary considerations, et cetera, within that. So we probably do need to discuss it more and then maybe vote next time, but I don't know for sure.
And I would say they're probably more ideas than proposals, so they're not even in proposal form yet. So maybe the appropriate thing to do is, I know we've sent out the list of the proposals, right? And so to this group, and so maybe we need to have a separate meeting to talk about the proposals and see if we can get them to a form that we can create a proposal. Does that, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we should have one more special meeting about ARPA, like we did on February 23rd, and that's where we started generating the proposals. So yes, okay. We can put that on hold now and maybe push it again and just have a brief discussion later in the meeting then, since we're not going to vote on it. And I'm sorry that I keep interrupting, but
That's okay. That's assuming that we have time to do that, which we would need to find out from Bo. And Luke, I see your hand up. Luke, did you want to say something?
Oh, there, I'm off mute now. Yeah, thank you. It was my understanding, previous meeting, we had decided in that meeting that we don't need a proposal. So that's why I didn't update mine. If we're now, or if I missed a meeting where we changed our mind, then that would be good information. Or if we're changing our mind now or something like that.
I can kind of answer that question. So my understanding was we don't need to have like a formal proposal, but there is like a certain amount of funds. And right now we don't have any price tags on any of the things that we are thinking of. So I'm just curious, like, do we need to do that before we move forward? That's my question.
Do we want to assign it to somebody? Or assign it to a special time that's meet sooner than next month?
I think that makes sense, to have it be a separate conversation, because we aren't coherently able to say this is what we want to do. We've all agreed on it. Here we go. So it seems like we should have further discussion.
Special meeting then?
Yeah, so I'll propose, I mean, just because I have been kind of point person on collecting the information anyway, I'm happy to be the one to try and set up a next meeting. And then later in today's agenda, though, I can give a little update for people if they want about ARPA and what's been done so far. Does that sound okay to folks?
What day you want to meet?
I'm gonna work that out outside of meeting time, if that's
That
okay.
sounds good.
Work it out with ISRA and get it communicated outward. Okay.
Thank you, Rhea. I've appreciated your taking initiative with this.
You're welcome, Luke.
Make sure and tell us that after it's all done. All right. It's the ARPA thing taken care of. Next thing. Is there something else that we are going to need to vote on here? There's a transponder training that's in the box that I see, and there is a worker group of some sort having to do with diversity.
Yeah, I mean, I can bring up the motion and then we'll see if we have time for anything else, but if this is appropriate to do, I'd love to see everybody's faces for this, ISRA, if we can not share the screen. Is that possible? Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I wanted to create a motion out of my painful awareness that OCAC did not have an equity lens that we were using, or some form of that. That's the term that I use for it, or that I've seen used before for it. And that came up for me as we were working on some motions to try and figure out some special positions that we might want to have for members who have a lot of historical knowledge that we need to pass on, and that we need to continue to have that voice represented, like a Oregon State Hospital liaison, for instance, or somebody with that experience. And so through that, I felt like, oh, this is also, touching on some equity, diversity, and inclusion issues. And if we had an equity lens, then that might help us in situations like that. So that we would have this thing to like bounce off of as we're creating proposals and motions and making decisions, we would kind of be able to check in with it. So my understanding of, and how I've seen equity lenses used in the past is that it's just really simply a clear way, like a clear process that any organization can use to reflect on whether their processes and their outcomes are supportive and inclusive of a diversity of perspectives, especially from historically marginalized identities or other specific communities that we're, trying to support and serve with our work. So it can often look like a set of questions for decision makers to ask when proposing and implementing actions. We don't have that yet, so I just thought this might be a way for us to work on that together. Members would be self-selecting. We would create a timeline for the work at our first meeting. And I reached out to Walter because he is the diversity and equity and inclusion liaison with the ORR. And I thought that would be a great way for ORR staff to be able to support OCAC in this process. And he agreed that he would be happy to come in and facilitate that work with us. So it'll be work of OCAC members. Of course, the members of the public will also be welcome to join in those discussions. But we're self-selecting. It'll be a separate time that we'll meet from the regular council meetings. So that's the motion, to create a work group to develop an equity lens for OCAC with the support and facilitation of ORR's Equity Inclusion Liaison, Walter Bailey.
Is there a second for the motion?
This is Julia. I second.
Any discussion? I would like to give somebody else the job of chair for the moment so that I could speak to this. Molly, you want to be the
Sure.
chair?
I'll be the chair for the moment.
Okay. I am by no means opposed to having a process that we set up to organize whatever equity issues that we can identify as something the council should take up. But in the environment that we're working in right now, including with stuff that's going to come up with the executive committee tomorrow, I just think it's premature to begin organizing activities in any certain way. My personal opinion is that we should organize our own, and considering the other circumstances, that doing it independently is a better way for us to go about it. Not only for the fact that we won't have a doctrinaire answer to what we're doing, as much as we will be able to select the problems that we want to deal with that affect our council more immediately than not. His issue has kind of come upon us as I don't even know how to describe it at this point, but something that kind of blindsided a bunch of folks, and we ended up kind of crashing our last full meeting with the subject matter. And I would just, ask people to wait long enough to have a couple more discussions with the division, as well as And this is with no disregard to Walter and his work, which is excellent. But it has to do with rules that the ORR and the council themselves hold, and what's appropriate in terms of how we manage our DEI stuff. So,
Drake, can I respond really fast? Thank you for your information, but can I share something with you?
in terms of
For what you said, I want to validate what you said. I also believe there's nothing that's going to be set in stone, and I do not believe that the council has to be held hostage of starting a process of doing something that giving the opportunity. If you guys vote on that, that's what they're talking about. So I just believe that there's an opportunity that I think the council does get an opportunity to discuss it if that's what they would like. Just so I think for you, I want to validate what you said, but I also think the alignment is something that is definitely moving this process forward. So I just want you to be absolutely sure, if you were able to collaborate with Rhea, of what the ask is.
well, I kind of at this point have a couple of different versions that I'm not completely understanding, but
okay,
my particular, I think I'm trying to figure out if DeAndre asked you a question or me a question in the chat about whether developing our own process is something you oppose.
Yeah, so I was referring to you, Drake. Just I'm wondering, like, it's all I need to ask a question. So it's
I'm an advocate of that, actually. That's a complete opposite.
Okay, that was the question.
Our own process.
So the problem is you're not wanting ORR to step in as an outside entity to develop that for this committee?
The problem is that at the last full meeting, somebody brought up a factual contention about us being racist outright. And it came from a source that has some authority to it. And in the light of that being an existing accusation, that particular thing, which is in the record and people can find it from February, it just seemed.
I would like to jump in just for a moment and just say something really quick. And that is that outside, I know that it's a little bit hard to separate circumstances in the way that I'm about to propose. But outside of what has happened historically in the ORR, or I'm sorry, in OCAC, and outside of any particular interpersonal relationships or specific conflicts that have emerged between members of OCAC and ORR, this motion stands on its own outside of that. Because I recognized as a member of OCAC, boy, we don't have an equity lens. WTF, let's make one, because that is going to help solve a lot of problems going forward. So let's create one. And I did that out of my own awareness. Nobody influenced me. Nobody came and said, hey, Rhea, right? Like I did that because I was like, hey, this would be a useful tool for us to have. And so I'm just proposing that motion. ORR is not creating the equity lens. Walter, who has experience in this, and happens to work with ORR, which is a body that I think is supposed to help support the work of OCAC, can come in and help facilitate a process for OCAC members to develop an equity lens and vote on it. It's going to be us creating the equity lens that we feel we need as an organization.
Absolutely, Rhea. Thank you for clarifying. I just want to, let me just jump in and say, I hear the conversations that are going on. When we approved the minutes just moments ago, the equity issue was brought up in the January minutes. So I just want to say it predates the February meeting, which I did not attend, but the equity issue was brought up in the January meeting. I'm going to go to hands.
Can I finish my statement?
Yes, Drake, finish your statement.
And Drake, one second, I do want to call to attention Bo's comment around the relevancy of the ORR updates as
Thank you.
we're getting further into the meeting. So if there's an ability to, I see that there's two other hands. There's Walida and Marquita. And Drake, you had your statement. If we would be able to do the ORR updates and then continue the conversation. I've written down the hands and so that we can start this over.
I'm sorry, Drake, I could not hear you.
I gave the floor to Walter in the middle of what I was saying. I just have two quick things to say. One, there's a fundamental conflict that people can ignore or not if they want. And the other is that the council is better off independent in this particular matter. That's all, that covers everything I need to say, and all the stuff will be fleshed out as we go along. I promise you. This is not just an equity lens being introduced in this. There's a whole bunch of stuff at the same time that occurred. And we're basically at this point trying to deal with a situation where the state has expressed a finding, not a suggestion, that we have a equity problem. And I just think we're better off solving it ourselves. That's all. And this is what I've been fighting for the whole time I've been here. You can look back as long as this council has existed, that we have the right to determine our own future. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna jump back to Nakobe's comment. Marquita, Walida, are you able to wait until we hear the ORR update to share your comments? Thank you, Walida. Marquita, will that work for you?
Yes, I'll leave in 6 minutes.
I hope the ORR updates are quick, but I think it seems as though that they are
Yeah, I
relevant
think-
to what we're talking about. So Bo, would you please?
Yeah, actually, yes, I don't want to confuse things more, but to Rhea's point of having a separate motion around the OCAC equity lens, and I can speak more to give some of the context to the things that the chair had mentioned that are relevant to the motion, but also I do hear that that motion is separate than this, and the OCAC would just like to make a vote to begin work on an equity lens. And so if y'all want to adhere to that motion first, and then we can get to the ORR updates, we're okay with that as well.
I heard that the ORR updates were related to or could influence the motion. So I would be interested in hearing what the ORR updates are.
Same here.
I wouldn't necessarily say influence the motion, but just provide more context to some of the stuff that the chair was referring to. But I would say make the motions there, make the vote. I don't want to participate in the conversation around the motion.
Okay.
I mean, unless there's some way for us to vote on this motion is really profoundly impacted by whatever other information there is. My motion and me presenting this motion stands on its own as work that I think is important, regardless of like other sideline things going on. So that's all that I want to say.
And so we have a motion and we have a second. If I recall correctly, Rhea made the motion, Julia made a second.
Yep.
So is there discussion? Additional discussion?
Marquita's hand is still up.
Marquita?
Yeah, I did want to, excuse me, comment. Thanks for sharing, Drake. But I did want to comment to that the last meeting that we did have, that's kind of bringing up his decision. I feel like that's even more reason for us to move forward with the motion. Since I've been on the council, there's been a lot of discussion around OCAC trying to get some trainings around DEI, and that hasn't came through for whatever reason. And I feel like now it's happening. And as a member on the council, I think that it's very important for us to get the information. Knowledge is power, so that we can move forward better and unified.
Yes.
Oh, and I vote yes.
Thank you. And Walida, would you like to share before we go to vote?
Yes, thank you, Drake and Makita. So I'm sorry I'm losing my voice, you guys. So I just want to say that, like Makita was saying, that knowledge is power. And that we are having, like, I am just a member of the public coming here, but yes, I do have a voice. And we are having other members that are coming in. And so you guys have been here a long time. And for you guys learning, you guys be able to share with the new members that are coming on. And for you guys to learn more knowledge wrapped around diversity and to be able to mentor and share with other people what you have learned, that is power, because knowledge is power. And so I believe that you guys should bring more education into it, because you guys are basically going to be mentoring the next people that's going to be taking your guys' place while you guys are supporting them. So this is the time to step up and show the love that you have and share with other people, and gaining that knowledge to be able to broaden more horizons of more people that are coming in on this board that you're bringing. And that's not, and then if you're learning, you're not holding yourself hostage. Getting rid of that word of hostage is a big thing. So Drake, I do hear you and I do see you, and I do commend you for your courage of speaking up. And thank you.
Thank you, Walida. And Luke, I see your hand up.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I just want to say briefly that I'm in favor of a formal equity lens. I have been directly involved in the membership selection process for many, many years, and it's my understanding that every time we make a decision, we do employ an equity lens. And I also want to point out, I want to reiterate that I am in favor of a formal equity lens. And I also want to point out that this proposal, this motion, is not standalone. Actually, it's in direct follow-up of this situation. So that is inaccurate in my opinion. But I think it's still a really good idea.
Okay.
I just wouldn't have had that not happened.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other conversation, discussion that needs to occur? I do not see hands. Then at this point, I think we call a vote on the motion.
Aye.
Isra, have we got everyone's votes counted?
I saw 8 check marks.
DeAndre, I don't know if you've cast a vote yet.
This is Juliet, yes.
Thank you. And Luke say yes.
Luke said yes.
DeAndre?
I'm in favor. I'm just wondering, I just want to know just more detailed around the facilitation in support of it. I'm all in favor of it. I'm just wondering the details of what it would look like as far as the ORR supporting and facilitating.
I think the only details that have been worked out so far is that people who want to work on this would self-select, that I'll try to coordinate, just as the one bringing up the motion, I'll try and coordinate a time for our first meeting and coordinate that with Walter. And then Walter's going to facilitate the process. And that's about all the details so far.
Well, I'm in favor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we capture all the votes?
Yes, this is all.
Okay. Thank you. And the motion passed, I believe?
Yes.
Okay. And now I think the next item would be the ORR updates. Is that accurate? I can't see the agenda.
Is there another motion, Rhea? You want to talk about the motion OCAC request funds from ORR?
Not yet, no. That one, I had just said if there was time that we could do that one, but there's so many other things that I think we need to talk about that one wasn't the priority.
Yeah, but in this case, maybe we can do it in this meeting. We will table it for next one.
Okay.
Let's table it. Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you, Marquita, for your time. I see
Yeah,
that you are leaving, and we really appreciate your presence and your contribution, and congratulations on your new position on the council.
Thanks,
Thank
Marquita.
you. See you all.
Bye.
Yay,
care.
bye.
Okay, I believe it's ORR updates. And Drake, do you want to take back over as facilitator and chair?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So ORR.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm really grateful to be here. Yeah, actually this meeting, I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm really grateful to see everybody that's here. And yeah, congratulations, Marquita, even though they left. That's really awesome. And also really appreciative of Rhea's motion and just kind of seeing the work move forward despite. And you know, there's a lot of things happening in the ORR. You know, I think I do, if there is time, or you know, I'll try to keep folks updated as we go along. We do have, you know, legislative updates as legislation is closed, as well as the ARPA funding. So the main thing about the ARPA funding is that y'all don't need to really necessarily vote on the projects. The most important thing is voting on who's going to be your fiscal sponsor. You have the money. We've earmarked the money for y'all to use. We just need to know who to contract with so that y'all can use it. And then, as you know, once that person receives the money, you can work out voting on the specific projects. But let us know where to place the money is what I'm saying is the thing. And you can take the next couple months to do that.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah. And then, you know, I do want to just discuss, you know, separate from the, well, maybe not separate, but you know, I'm glad that the motion around the equity work passed. I do want to kind of just follow up on some of the comments that I made last full council meeting, and just kind of talk a little bit more about some of the equity work kind of as a whole, and then hopefully Alfonso can speak to some of the behavioral health committee equity work that OHA is engaged in as a whole. And so the first thing, like what I always do in these situations, is that, you know, well, you know, for those of you who don't know, I'm currently serving as interim director of the Office of Recovery and Resilience. It's an honor to do that as we navigate the recruitment process. You know, as after Brandy left, you know, there was a gap, and I thought it was very much important that OCAC and all the other consumer advocates and peer groups had a voice on the behavioral health executive leadership team. And it's been a commitment to seriously kind of follow up and ensure that voice is at that level. But I am a person with lived and living experience. And so in situations like this, I like to lead with my lived experience. I'll try to be as brief as possible. So please just allow me some grace as I experience really heightened states of emotion when I do share with this type of transparency from the position that I find myself within the bureaucratic structure currently. So, you know, I was first diagnosed with a behavioral health, or a behavioral disorder at 8 years old, and then diagnosed with this. That led to a series of kind of being removed from my family, being in different programs, diagnosed with a serious and persistent mental health experience in my late teens, and a lifetime of being placed in behavioral modification treatment centers, being forced medication, being being admitted to psychiatric units, prison, administrative segregation units, et cetera, et cetera. So I have some very personal lived experience with having my rights kind of removed from me and having my voice removed from me legally, when people utilize legal statute and legal references to silence me. I also am a convicted felon. So in this position, I suffer from a lot of imposter syndrome. I don't know if folks have lived experience with being a felon and trying to get a job, but people from my community generally don't find themselves employed in the way that I'm employed. So it's the utmost kind of mission for me and commitment for me. So I've been in a really reflective place the last month, and you haven't seen me at full counts at any OCAC meetings. You haven't seen me at all. And it's because I've had to step back and be very reflective, and also kind of navigate my physiological response to certain situations. And so that's why I'm extra grateful to be here today and to see everybody. And, you know, just to address specifically really quick, just to address the comments that I made the last full council, and also this, I'm going to say some difficult things, I think really difficult for myself, so I can only imagine they may be difficult for others. So again, some grace. I really want to be able to just say this stuff, and I hope that it's a safe place for me to do so. But the comments that I made around kind of systemic racism, silencing people of color at the last full council meeting were characterized. Some of the direct quotes that happened over the last month were were weird, grotesquely inappropriate, lapse in judgment, and palsied from an email on February, in end of February or March 8th. The chair referred to my terms as, quote, palsied. I do want to, and then also there was a reference to a potential referral to Department of Justice, and also a recorded bylaws meeting in which the council members met to strategize my removal from my position. This is what I'm talking about when my job insecurity, my trauma around poverty, being a felon, and having to look for jobs was really activated and triggered. And I cried a little bit when there was a meeting and actual council members got together. Y'all are powerful people in my community. I am a consumer advocate, and knowing that there was a discussion to strategize my removal really hurt. And also I want to say that I am not suffering from my comments were not a lapse in judgment. They were not grotesquely inappropriate. They were not palsied. I am not suffering from a cognitive impairment. I'm not a person living with cerebral palsy. I would hope that if I am a person who is living with a cognitive impairment, that the council would still hear my lived experience, and this would be a safe place for me to speak that. And I have an extensive background. I'm educated in sustainable community development. I hold degrees in inclusive engagement from the College of Urban and Planning Affairs from PSU. And most importantly, I'm a certified mental health peer. And one of the values I hold closest to my heart that I learned the first time in my intentional peer support training nearly 10 years ago was the ability to hold multiple truths while we explore conflicting worldviews. And I think that's what's happening, is that we're holding multiple truths. But the ORR would not seek to remove anybody from their positions or council members as a result of conflicting worldviews. I would also not veto any motion that the council brought with majority vote. I think that the conflicting worldview that we're experiencing currently is around whether or not racism exists and the proof of that. And so that's why I'm really glad to see the motion. I'm really excited to have the work move forward, because in the Office of Recovery and Resilience, and OHA as a whole, we're committed to an anti-racist workplace, which means not just acknowledgement of racism, but it's a step beyond, where we are actively calling out racism and working to develop an equity lens. The question was around proof, and to the chair's comments earlier in this meeting, objective legal proof that racism is happening within the council. And what the conflicting worldview is, what the ORR is saying is that we're not really gonna utilize non-appropriate use of resources to prove that racism exists. We know that racism exists at every level. The data is there. Timo Kuhn's work on dismantling racism came out almost 25 years ago. More recently, Layla Saad's work on white supremacy and me, becoming a good ancestor, is another really good one. And so what we want to do is move forward with this equity lens and support. So from our equity lens that we've developed in the ORR, quote, we go advocacy for equity, in which we acknowledge systemic racism as it occurs. As peer support specialists, we advocate for equity at individual, community, and systemic levels. This includes addressing barriers to access, challenging discriminatory practices in real time, and amplifying the voices of those who have been historically underrepresented or marginalized. And so that's what we're doing, and we understand that it will cause friction in the time. And what's happened is that over the years, folks have come forward with their lived experiences of racism. They've expressed their narratives, And so we don't really want to engage in proving through data and objective legal evidence that exists. We want to acknowledge personal lived experience that is happening. And so there may not be any legal findings that it's happening, but what we have is council members verbalizing this repeatedly. And I do want to mention that OHA as an agency did take action as soon as those verbal acknowledgements started happening, despite legal evidence of some of the things that OHA has done since the original letter in 2019 that was shared with the council last month is we created the Office of Recovery and Resilience. That was the first thing that OHA did. In that office, we hired a diversity, equity, and inclusion analyst, who's Walter. We developed the director position to sit on the executive leadership team. We sent all ORR staff to intentional peer support core training with folk time. Walida was there. And we sent all staff to mandatory racial equity trainings, and we developed an equity lens for the ORR. That's what we've done. And we did all that with the guys with the hope to support OCAC, however much you want the support or not. That's up to you all. And so we are here to support. And the other thing, the structure looks different today than it did 10 years ago. The Office of Recovery and Resilience is an internal office of consumer advocates that is advocating internally as you all are advocating externally. And so there's an area for collaboration there. We are not the state who's going to try to enforce certain things on you. We are advocates, we are peers. And we're doing the same work that you're doing. We have a lot of alignment and goals. We're just doing it internally so we can put pressure on both sides to create real systems change. And so I'll stop there. And if Alfonso's here, you can maybe speak to some of the larger behavioral health equity committee work that we're doing. That's not just OCAC. My comments were not just referenced specifically to OCAC. It's large systemic work that we're doing. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, thanks, Well. I'll be really brief. I'll just say in other states, I have colleagues in other states who are focused on equity. They can't say the word equity. They can't use it in any document. They can't. There's no policy they can have around equity, and so they really look to us, and they're like, "Wow, what are the great things you're doing there in Oregon?" And then over here, sometimes it feels like we're not doing enough. We're like barely scratching the surface. And so one is to say that I'm really fortunate. I feel really fortunate to be in a room with all of you and in the state where we are having these tough conversations. And the one is happening now is tough. And I can tell you that the struggles around equity that are happening in this committee are happening in other committees. And there's no other state we can go to and see what they're doing. There's communities that are doing really good work that we can turn to. It's all of you that we can turn to, but there are going to be some tough conversations, and we're in territory that we haven't crossed into before. So it's hard. I will say something that I have observed here at OCAC, and I've observed this in almost all of the committees that I've been on, is that there just tends to be 1, 2, maybe 3 people that really speak a lot. And they may speak 50% of the time, they may speak 75% of the time. And so the challenge, I think, if we're going to really lean into equity and really learn from the diverse perspectives that are around there, is like, how do we ensure that we're hearing from everyone? And that everybody, and it's not just, in my experience, it's not just, hey, what do you all think? Because it's a difficult thing to navigate for certain people. So creating conditions in situations where people feel like they're invited, like they belong, like they can, really share what they want. And a lot of that can come from how we treat each other. So I'll just say that on one hand, it's a difficult time, I think, here at OCAC, but in other committees as well. I can tell you they're having these tough conversations, and I'm really proud to be here with all of you during this time. And if there's anything I can do to support, please let me know.
Thank you, Alfonso. Luke, I see you have had your hand up for a moment.
I didn't know that I had my hand up, but that's funny because I wanted to mention something actually. I wanted to request again the assistance of ORR and your position, Alfonso, and also the Oregon Consumer Advisory Council to support our Wellness Initiative Network, because wellness support for the peoples is maybe the solution to bridge the gap so that communities can have that equity, get their needs met, inclusion, and praise for the diversity that we all represent. So I'm going to ask again, humbly and kindly, to take notice of this and give your support. I live here in this institution, in Oregon State Hospital, where the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest place, and we need the attention. We need the support. We need people to find out what Oregon Consumer Advisory Council is, what the ORR is. I am such a rare individual here, and Bo, please speak to this, because I've heard through the grapevine that extending my membership could have a racial connotation in it, but this community that I represent is so disadvantaged, so under-recognized, and so underrepresented. Please, do you see that? Do you see the need to have representation? Please come here and support us and get us empowered, get us on the map. Please. I feel so alone.
We are so grateful that you show up, Luke, that you continue to advocate. But were you going to respond?
Yeah, if y'all would like me to. I mean, I think that was kind of all that we had for OR updates. If there is other folks that want to speak up, and in terms of, I do want to, when I first began my work with OCAC in 2018, I did navigate historical perspectives of OCAC, and there's a lot of information. There's a lot of historical advocates, and some have different views and different experiences than others. And over the years, I've seen some historical advocates leave the council, sunset out of the council, and there was never any kind of push or advocacy to have them remain on this special status. And so I think as the equity work continues, especially around membership and stuff, and if we're talking about kind of vacating term limits or appointing special status to certain members, I'm not saying that Luke, your position is invalued or the voice of the state hospital doesn't need to be represented. I just think that there's a lot of voices, including yours, that need to be considered if we're talking about special appointment with no term limits.
Yeah, so maybe if you come here and get more people aware of it, then I won't, somebody can replace me easier. I want that to happen. Thank you. Thanks for your voice. More people involved.
Thank you. Where are we at in the agenda?
We were at committee report.
Committee reports?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have reports from committee?
If Rhea is done, then we can go on to the next one.
I don't know if I heard my name. I haven't given the committee report back yet, but I'll let other people do theirs first if they'd like to go. Isaiah's here.
I think Daniel Grondin would like to speak in public comment, so I just wanted to make sure that we leave a little time for her.
Yeah, we have space still until public comment.
Am I the only one for committee reports?
You
I
can
can
jump it
go.
off, Isaiah. Jump it
Okay,
off, Isaiah.
I can go real quick. Mine's probably gonna be pretty short anyway. So, yeah, one of the things I was thinking about bringing up was the equity request, which was brought up with Rhea and OR. And, we just voted on it, so I don't really need to go into that, I don't think. But we heard about it in development committee. Sounded exciting. I would like to participate in some of that. So, and then we've been looking at mentorship in development committee, and just kind of went over a document that Luke Walters basically provided me and other people, and just kind of looking at what we want to do next with maybe a motion or getting people the ability to mentor if they want to step up, or there's not really anything that's set in stone as far as becoming a mentor or filling a position like that. But we're kind of just running through that in development committee. And then I also wanted to bring up something that was brought to my attention in development committee, which is full council reported. So there was a motion that was actually in the minutes for January's meeting. I don't think I need to read through all of it, but basically there was a motion. I'll read a little bit of it. So it says recordings and transcripts shall be preserved and available internally to OHA and OCAC members upon request within a reasonable amount of time, in particular for verification of attendance, but not uploaded to external facing OCAC page. So basically, in a nutshell, people were voting, and it passed. The vote passed, but the recorded videos wouldn't be put on the OCAC page on the web page. But according to public meeting law, it requires that all recorded meetings that we record and that we have these OCAC meetings, that they should be uploaded to the website. And that's, I guess, public meeting law. So I wanted to bring that to people's attention. I don't know if there's anything, if people want a motion to change that, or if that's a bylaws committee agenda or process. So anyways, that's kind of what we've been working on. And yeah, I don't know if people will have anything to say about any of that.
Isaiah, if you remember, we talked about also the Excel sheet I sent it to you to record the attendance for all OCAC meetings for every month. And this is going to be archived in development committee. So that's also the new things, because OCAC members keep asking for a document to follow up their attendance through. Even I send the agenda with the attendance, and there is a record showing their attendance. And when they send any request for statement, I also check all the documents and record I have and get back to them. But again, they want something, have all the meetings. Me and Luke talk about this. He provided me with the previous things he worked on in Google Doc. And then actually I sent you this Excel sheet, and this is gonna be for every month for OCAC meetings.
So
I'm going to share it.
I had a question about that.
Yeah.
So it looks to me like there's something I'm supposed to interact with the sheet and fill it out?
No,
Or is it?
no.
Okay.
It's just gonna be through development committee. You will receive these records before the next meeting with the agenda and other information recorded for the previous, like previous notes, previous agenda, and then I'll send this Excel sheet too. Have all the meetings through the month for the OCAC. It's gonna be as a record for everyone. When they request it, they can request it from development committee, and if we get approved from the OCAC council, we will upload it also to the webpage.
Okay, and is that something we need to vote on?
I'm not sure. I can share the document, and then Drake and all of you can decide if you need to vote.
Okay. Rhea has.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to bring up the question about the recording, and I put it in the chat too, but it is pretty serious because we have only consented to have recordings of the meetings to help with note taking and not to have it posted online. And so it is something that we would need to address if there's a requirement that anytime a meeting is recorded, we're publishing it on the website.
Yeah, I haven't, sorry, all that I do, I haven't, can I speak? I have an update that's a little bit unfortunate around that particular issue. Isra, do you know what I'm talking about? Should I speak to it now?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm sorry that, yeah, that in our OR updates, I'm sorry, there's a couple other things too. It's just that, you know, the subject matter was so difficult for me. I kind of spaced, and I thought maybe there would be a little bit more conversation around what I had said in the updates originally. But one of two things that a couple things that we're doing currently is coordinating to have some public meeting law support for the council, and having some support from the Department of Justice, so that we're all on the same page, because it can be a really scary thing to have, you know, those kind of legal implications come at us when we don't really know like how to interact with public governing bodies, public meetings law, and people are citing certain law cases and all that kind of stuff. It's really intimidating. So we are going to do that. I do have to send out a couple documents. These are general updates, but then also specific to this, what we're talking about right now. I do have to, the OR does have to send out some documents around the discrimination and harassment-free workplace policies and things of that nature that that we're all under, ORR staff and OCAC members as volunteers for OHA. And then also the public meeting law guide that is in your orientation packet, we're going to resend for review too. When potential referrals to DOJ happened over the last month, one of the findings that came out is that we actually have to post the full recordings to the externally facing website according to public meeting law. We were under the impression that we can vote and leave certain aspects off of what we post, but we have to record the meeting and then post the entire recording with names and everything as on the externally facing website. So just a result.
So can I ask a clarifying question? Do we have to record the meeting?
Yeah, please do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Barb.
Rhea, you're going to say exactly what I was going to say. Go for it.
Yeah, do we have to record the meetings then? Would be the next question.
Yeah.
And that's true for like any government, like state meetings, that they're all recorded.
Yeah. And apparently part of, you know, kind of being appointed a member is essentially kind of consenting to that public meeting law requirement, where all that information, who's involved, the names, the dates, all that stuff is public record. That is accessible.
We're basically public officials, you know, when we join the council.
So what I do
Luke.
want to say is that I recognize personally for me, given the lived experience that I mentioned earlier, when it comes to these kind of legal implications, it really activates me. So I want to say that please reach out to myself, other council members, or our staff so that we can really try to create an atmosphere of safety while we navigate some of this, what it means to be a public official.
Yes, Bo.
So in order that we have our hands raised, I think Luke, you're up, and then followed by Carol. Go ahead, Luke.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you. And I want to say that I hear you, Bo. What you shared today in the update was very raw, very powerful, very sensitive, very real, and very heartfelt. I really appreciate you, part of our life, and you bring a very essential quality and some very competent skill, as I might add to our process. I'm very excited about how to go forward, and I appreciate your support, Alfonso, Walter, in getting a really effective equity lens together. And this is actually applicable because we're on development committee still, and I want to move forward with being able to accept new members in the near future. So this is a really big part, and I think that your qualifications are extremely welcome and important. Thank you, Bo.
So first, let me just echo, Bo, what Luke said. I said in a recent email that we are a group of people who gather in a virtual space. We see one another's faces and we do not know each other. So I so appreciate your vulnerability, your sharing, and all that it represents. Thank you for that. And then I have a question about the recording. At what point did that, and I don't think I have any particular objections, but I'm just wondering at what point that became law, because I've been doing this for a while and it has only been in the last, I mean, since COVID, but maybe within the last year that folks started recording meetings, some of which are posted, some of which are not. And so I'm curious about when that happened and where that exists, that we have to record meetings. And where.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. An actual physical recording may not be required, but I'll put that on the docket for when we have our DOJ presentation, that to clarify some of those questions. I more meant that there has to be a recorded documentation that does include council members' names that's externally accessible. It may not have to be a specific audio recording, but there has to be some record that does include names that is accessible to the public.
Okay, recorded as in terms of minutes. Minutes need to be made available and they need to be specific. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
That is helpful. Rhea, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I really want to get that clarified, and I'm sorry that wasn't clear when I asked the question, Bo, but I'm talking about a video or audio recording of the meetings being posted. That's the question that I have. I see Isaiah also has his hand up. I do want to be able to give a short report back from the Trauma-Informed Systems Subcommittee when we have time, and we are getting closer to the end. So just wanted to bring that up.
The link that Sean put in the chat is a very quick definition of what is required.
I just want to say real quick that that's how I understood it. It was actual video, so that actually helps address the situation. So it's good to hear folks saying that.
Yeah, and the link that Sean put in the chat is very clear. Is there anything else from the development committee?
No, that's it. That's it.
Other committee reports.
I can give the trauma-informed system subcommittee really quick. We are continuing our work in that subcommittee on looking at the psychiatric security review board and wanting to gather the voices and perspectives and experience of people who have lived under the jurisdiction of the PSRB. And to that end, we have been working on a document that can help educate the public a little bit about the PSRB, and then also developing a survey that we are very close to getting tightened up to be able to send out into the community. And I have started to think about networks about how to do that so that we can collect the experiences. As the co-facilitator of that group, I'm also going to be, which we decided at the last meeting, just checking in with Charmalee and Alfonso, because we also thought that it would be a good idea to just check in with Charmalee about the work that she's been doing as with forensic peer work and with PSRB, and then also maybe wanting to reach out to the PSRB itself and just let them know, hey, we're going to be doing this thing. Just wanted you to be aware of that. And here's why. Here's our intention, is to collect people's experiences in a way that hasn't really been done. The other thing, so that's what we're continuing to do. Love to have more people involved in that subcommittee. It's really exciting work, and I'm learning a lot as we go. And then the second thing is, I don't know if people saw, but actually there's a vote that the PSRB is undertaking soon. I can drop a link. I'll look for it. They want to change their rules in off the cuff, the wrong direction. That's the opinion of Rhea Wolf and not the opinion of the Oregon Consumer Advisory Council. So I'll drop a link to what Disability Rights Oregon has posted about this, but that's happening really soon, that they're just like trying to like vote on these changes and they're not super cool. So I'll drop a link so people can find out more information about that, but I think that's all my report back. If people have questions, let me know.
Thank you, Drake. Back to you.
I actually have two committee assignments. One which is temporary and the other which is ad hoc. So the ad hoc one is the bylaws committee. And I just wanted to say that looking at it, there's still only the language for the single vice chair. It doesn't include the actual practice of the council, which is to have two vice chairs, which began with Chrissy and Kevin Fitz. So I don't have specifics on those particular duties other than the same kind of duties that would come out of like a vice presidential role. So in that particular regard, there's nothing particular that's been written in yet in that section. As far as the, we're still trying to schedule the first meeting with Willita and Marquita. As far as the volunteers that have agreed to write our diversity policy. And now that we have a group working on it, they may want to include those folks as well. But it's kind of up to them. They were given the responsibility for that section, and I kind of ducked out of it on purpose so that it would have persons who have are parts of significantly marginalized groups as the lead. So that's it for the bylaws. That will terminate when the rules are done. And we'll see kind of what we got, because ideally the bylaws should look something like the rules, except bigger. And the rules process has been ended as far as the intermediary work. And the next thing that happens is the actual rulemaking process begins, the official part of it. Lastly, the legislative, I have nothing great to say about the legislative session. And people need to know that Measure 110 got its wings clipped in terms of the legal charges available to folks that are using. They no longer will issue tickets. They will have jail time available to them. They will have all sorts of other pernicious kinds of punishments available to them if they don't comply with the judge's orders. And that's kind of a big disappointment for everybody that wanted the whole thing not only, I'll go even farther than the health recovery network. That they try to say that this is not legalization, but personally, they seem to have pulled this off in Great Britain for decades. Drugs have been legal there, and they haven't managed to create a social crisis or have people laying in the street shooting fentanyl. And I think there's obviously a way to do it, but people's hearts got to be in it, and they got to start thinking of people not being criminals for essentially having a health problem. Anyways, there are other things they've done to mitigate in this section. There was more money put into some healthcare things. The one last important thing probably to know in terms of corporate takeovers of Oregon health care providers, that the Corvallis Clinic state ability to stop that sale is kind of up in the air, and the efforts of the legislators to make it something that the state has to approve for large companies to move in and just occupy either failing or people ready to sell in the medical industry. That didn't get to happen before the end of the session, so some important stuff got left on the table in terms of regulating corporations and regulating the buyout of local health clinics, or bigger at this point. I'm sure there's other sales that are in the workplaces. So that's all I got. And if we could make sure and hear from Danielle, if she's still here, I would always try to make sure she got heard if I'm the last one.
I think you are, and we have 7 minutes. So we do public comment. So I believe we are open for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to comment? Carissa, I see your hand up.
Hello, hi everyone. Sorry I joined kind of late, but I'm glad I was here for the discussion around the health equity lens. And I just want to also thank Bo for sharing his story and being vulnerable with everyone. And I totally get feeling imposter syndrome. You're not alone. So glad you're able to continue and persevere and serve the state. But also just wanted to thank all of you guys for putting forward that motion for the health equity lens. I have focused my career on health equity and addressing inequities and addressing health disparities due to inequities. And I guess I want to kind of speak on behalf of my organization, Access Care Anywhere, that we support your motion and would love to help support the work any way that we can with the limited capacity, but with the expertise that we bring and our partners as well. So I would love to work with Walter, and if that's what you all would like, or in any way, I'm just extending that to provide support. Thank you.
Thank you, Carissa. We appreciate your attendance at these meetings. And Danielle, I see your hand up.
Hey y'all. Yeah, I wasn't planning to comment, but it seems it's important. So thank you, Drake, for inviting me into that. So the reason why I did attend this meeting was because it was brought to my attention that a letter that I wrote in 2019 was shared to kind of be part of some of these current conversations. And I really want to thank the folks who brought that to my attention, because that's a way of modeling the model of nothing about us without us. And I really want to show up for these conversations when they circle back around, and be able to make sure that the original intention of bringing that to the space is being honored. I do see similar dynamics that were occurring back when I was part of the committee, still continuing. We had 2 women of color who were trying to speak and then use the bylaws to be like, oh, wait, not you, not yet, not this. And so that was one of the dynamics that I was pointing back, in 2019. So just really interesting things to witness in that regard. And, also there's a reason why I've kind of leaned out of the peer support space as involved as I was back a few years ago is because of some of that toxicity. That's not just part of Oregon Consumer Advisory Council, but just in the general recovery peer community. And I think there's lots of reasons for that I'm happy to geek out with anyone about. And it's not to shame or blame or point fingers, and like I will over intellectualize everything, as some of my friends will point to me. But the thing that I did want to say is I like taking my brain out of the equation. I could train on some of these pieces, but is more of like my body felt the same type of intensity just observing with y'all today. And you know, to Bo's point and for sharing, thank you so much for naming all of those things and naming systemic trauma, you know, trying to change the institutional traumas with policies and procedures and practices that were not intended to center lived experience voice is a beast of an issue. And as someone said here, is like we're actually working towards the same objectives, just in different arenas. And to the person who shared before me, if I'm coming from a trauma-informed Oregon standpoint, we are also here to support that process and can lean in that reshaping of how does trauma, the knowledge we know about trauma, show up in our policies, procedures, and practices, and how do we move towards organizational change. So thank you for that space, and thank you for this work and for holding tension and discomfort together.
Thank you, Danielle. Other comments? I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to acknowledge personally, since the February meeting, which I was not at, but all of the follow-on conversations, I have been experiencing that tension as well. And I am really grateful that I was able to show up to this meeting and have conversation that felt productive and felt like we were able to move forward. So thank you all for that. I know it has been hard and difficult. And Bo, I share both the lived experience, a similar lived experience, and similar imposter syndrome in my role. Sometimes I'm like, whoa. So I really get it. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you. I don't know.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. And thank you, Rhea, for bringing that as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And for supporting Walter. I'm very excited about where it's going to go. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here, and hopefully we can embark on this work and continue to do it one step at a time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be beautiful, but if we do it together, we will make movement. So I'm excited about it. Great meeting.
Thank you all.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.